What's going on, collectors? Optical 20 back for another video. So today, hopefully some collectors would benefit from this video. This is basically just a reminder to move your figures. You never know if damage is brewing until you move your figures, because you never know if you have multiple figures like I'm showing you in the screen. Sometimes the one in the back doesn't get too much attention. You know, for example, guys like this, you know, you had the figure for years, you haven't really touched them, repost them or whatever. What happens is when you pick them up, then all of a sudden you'll see the damage. But if you constantly like maybe clean them, repost them, move them around, maybe you'll avoid them. For example, like this pleather. I've never really had any issues with pleather. I live in an area where there's not a whole lot of humidity. So, you know, with Catwoman, you know, the normal suspects, I never really got that. So with Deadpool, just looking at him in the shelf, he looks fine. But you can see here, there's a lot of pleather damage now. I was about to sell him. I haven't moved him in years. So in the back, there's one as well. So the moment I picked him up and I was trying to box him, it was like I was trying to remove the accessories, then it started peeling off. And I was like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do now? So I told, you know, the buyer, cut out significant amount from how much I was selling it for. But these are, you see the knee pads as well started coming off. I mean, this figure itself is problematic. I was gonna sell it because I was preparing for Deadpool 3. But had I been moving this, maybe I wouldn't have sold it. Or maybe I could have done some 303 on it. Just to prevent that. I have a separate video for that. But maybe if I had been, you know, paying attention to the figures in the back, this would have been prevented, or maybe not. I don't know. But speaking from experience, something like the Crow, for example, I've never had any pleather issues on the coat, or, you know, something like that, because I do repost them and I put 303 on them. But sometimes if you have tons of figures in the back, you ignore them. And sometimes you don't pay attention. You just think that, hey, just visually checking, hey, it looks fine, it's not flaking. Perfect example, stand damage. We can call this the crotch grabber, right? Like this is something that we could classify as one. Metal Gear, this is an older figure, Naked Snake. On the back, as you can see there, I haven't moved it. And then the majority of the pleather, at least rubber pleather, hasn't deteriorated. Look at that. It's stuck. It was sticking on the metal to the rubber. You can see the residue right there. It's not a good combination when you got a metal and rubber and you don't move them for years. And this is what's going to happen. When I took it out, look, the leg part was fine. But since I haven't moved this figure, it just kind of stuck in there. And this is the right way to, you know, to use the crotch grabber per se. You don't really have them touch the figure. But this one, like I said, it's been there for years. And this one is fabric. This Captain America is kind of like a sticky one. Now we have new stands with InArt where it's magnetic, so you don't really have that problem. The problem here is tilting. But that's a whole separate video in it by itself. But another stand is the dynamic stand. Now, they do put a lot of pressure because this is tight on the waist of the figure. This Spider-Man doesn't have any damage because it's fairly new, but I have personally experienced the wrath of this dynamic stand. So what it does is, this is a little too tight. So somebody like, and I had this on my Vision from Age of Ultron, where it just sits on the waist and you don't touch it for years. The moment you take it off, like Vision suit, for example, is like rubbery, and that would happen. And not a good feeling, honestly. It's something that you'd want to avoid as much as you could. So normally what I would do to make that safe is put him on his leg right there. As much as possible, I don't want it touching any part of the figure, so I would lower it down. This is simply for protection, just in case it tilts over. Remember, the less it touches the figure, the better. Another one is color stains, and this normally happens from tight materials and darker ones. Black, for example. Black always stains. Black fabric that are tight, even though they're not tight, if they touches the skin and you don't wash them, this is what's gonna happen. See his leg, you see that black mark right there, and he has a lot more from socks and all that stuff, from long sleeves. Well, luckily I'm never gonna display Derrick Rose without shorts on. So I don't even worry about it. I have a cure for that. You use that Benoxtil, whatever. I have another tutorial for that. But something like this, for example, Bruce Wayne head sculpt. So I use them. See that on the back of his neck? That is from the cape, just touching the back of his neck. The cape is not even tight. It's just touching the back of the neck. It is a lot worse. I already tried to fix it, but you see the discoloration around it. Luckily, it's the back of the neck, so no one really pays attention. But I could have avoided that had I been checking out the figure, maybe not made it worse. This is the worst one so far. Joint damage. So this is Blake Griffin from Enter Bay. This is on the back of my display. I have a lot of Enter Bay figures. Post them consistently. I watch basketball a lot. This one, not really. It's Blake Griffin. Why would I repost him? So I was going to sell him. He's been sitting like this for years. And then I was like, all right, let me remove the accessories and let me put him on the box. And the moment I touched them, boom. The joints became brittle. I guess because of years. Who knows? 2, 3 years, 4 years that I haven't touched this guy. He's on the back. And this one just came off. I have older figures than Blake Griffin. Like my first Michael Jordan. That one I constantly repost because it's Michael Jordan. No problems with the joints. Blake Griffin, the guy who I have not touched, haven't dusted for years. And I was going to sell him. So I got to message the buyer. I was like, I can't sell this to you, man. Not in good conscience. It could still hold a post like this. It's the body of Enter Bay is I guess sturdy enough that could hold a post. I can even move this around, but it's already damaged. So just one word of caution. I know sometimes we get caught up with newer figures. We get our new figure. The older figures gets pushed in the back and doesn't get attention that we need for years and years. And these are expensive figures. You don't want to take care of them as much as possible. Take the proper precaution. Just move them around. That's all. If you don't want to apply 303, that's fine. But thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps you out, and I'll see you in the next one.